Okay, so now I'm going to give you information on the last section of the historical investigation. This is really the end. This is the last one. But nonetheless, a very important one, because as you can see, it's worth 3 points. The section is titled The Work Cited and the Word Limit. So both of those things are graded in this 3-point section. First on the list, I got absolutely no more than 2,000 words. It cannot be longer than 2,000 words. If it's one word beyond 2,000 words, you automatically lose all 3 of the points. So it's very important to stay within the word limit. Just keep it under 2,000 and really no shorter than 1,500. There isn't an official word minimum, but if you turn in a piece of work under 1,500 words, it's pretty much impossible for it to be a successful piece. Your grade is probably going to be very miserable. So you want to keep it between 1,500 and 2,000 words. Usually good samples are closer to 2,000 than 1,500, and absolutely no more words than 2,000. Next it says, give clear and full citations. And then next to that I have Purdue OWL written. When I go into the samples and I show you what good citations look like, I'm going to show you Purdue OWL's website so that you can see what MLA citations look like on their website and how their website can kind of be navigated. I know also in the summary of evidence, which deals with citations, I referenced this website as well. Really, there are many websites that show students how to do MLA citations, but the Purdue OWL website is the best one. In your senior year also, your teacher, definitely if you have me, I will make footnotes an option as well. Beyond this, it says use a scholarly number of sources. Basically, students in the official rubric are encouraged to have an appropriate amount of sources. Usually this comes up to around 10. You want to have around 10 sources that have been referenced. Now, if the topic is very, very old, like it's ancient history, and there's, for example, very little secondary sources or primary sources, then maybe the list could be smaller. But most people write their historical investigation on modern topics, modern history, or at least like nothing older than the 17th century. So there's lots of literature on this stuff, so there should be lots of sources. 10 is really kind of like a golden number to shoot for. So that's the list. I'm going to show a strong sample, then a weak sample, and then kind of talk about the citations, and then that's going to be it. We'll be done. So, strong sample first. We got this one here. We've seen it many, many times now. I know that I'm beginning to see it in my dreams, but since we're dealing with one question, we're very familiar with this one. It's not something strange. So, again, the question is, with what justification can it be claimed that it was the leadership of Trotsky which promoted Red victory in the Russian Civil War? That's the question that they're working with. They have the work cited at the very bottom. So if we scroll through the entire piece, we see that they've got it titled Section F, Bibliography. You can call it Bibliography, you can call it Works Cited. Those are kind of the two names you want to go with. You can call it Section F too. And you'll see that they have everything appropriately cited in MLA format. That's what they've gone with here. They've got the author name first, the period, the date, the title of the work underlined, the publisher, the location of publication, and that's everything. So they've got all their works cited, and they actually went an additional level above citing all their works. Not only did they appropriately cite them and alphabetize them, they went a step further and put that there's an article, or two articles, one article I should say, cited here, and that beneath that there were some websites used. So they've kind of sorted this into books, articles, and websites. And if students go that extra mile, that's really going to help show that they have organized appropriately their sources. So there's kind of two options. You could do the whole thing alphabetically, or you could break it up in categories, books, websites, articles, etc. And that's kind of what we're looking for. An interesting side note is you'll notice that of all these sources here, there's, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 sources. There's only 2 websites. There's no encyclopedias. There's no dictionaries. There's none of that. This is some real scholarly work being done here. you will never see a strong works cited score for research predominantly done with websites. Now, the only exception to that might be if students are using, for example, scholarly archives such as EBSCOhost or JSTOR. That's okay, all right? But you don't want to be using very generic, non-academic websites. That's not scholarly research. That's middle school. We're trying to move away from that. So that's the strong sample. They got 3 out of 3. They got all the points. Then we got a low sample here. This is a sample we haven't seen before. The question that they were dealing with is, to what extent was the United States government involved in the military coup in Chile? There's no time frame put on here, but they're talking about the 1973 removal of Salvador Allende by Augusto Pinochet. So, if we go down to their works cited, it's far less organized, unfortunately. They put it on the exact same page as the remainder of their conclusion, so, I mean, right away to begin with, the formatting is not the best. Now, even beyond that, they title the section References instead of Bibliography or Work Cited, so it's kind of confusing. It's like, is this work that they just thought about, or is this work that they actually used? That's kind of an inappropriate title for the section, because references would imply just that these were sources that were consulted, not necessarily cited. What it means to cite something is that it's actually used in the piece, right? So this list is not really done in any consistent method. It's not MLA, it's not Chicago Manual of Style, it's not APA. It looks like they really didn't understand how to do citations. They just kind of threw this list up there. They did alphabetize it. However, since it's not done in any consistent method, it doesn't really matter that it's alphabetized. This is clearly a student who just tried to do this without being familiar with MLA citations. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of students try to do. If a student tries to do this, they are going to receive 1 out of 3 points. That's the score that this student got. So it really comes down to the importance of doing MLA citations. So then there's the question of, how do I do these citations? Well, like I said on the slide in the beginning here, you know, clear, full citations, Purdue OWL, the website, right? So if you go to Google and you type in Purdue OWL and you type in MLA, it's going to come up with this website. It's going to come up with MLA Formatting and Style Guide, and you know, it looks like this. It's this great orange color. You know, maybe it makes you think of orange juice. I don't know. But basically, you can navigate this website to do any type of citations that you want. It's got books, and it's got all types of books, books with 1 author, more than 1 author, 2 authors by an organization, a book with no author, a translated book, etc., etc., etc. It's got more stuff. It's got electronic sources. If we're talking about websites, this is like how you actually can cite a website. There's very correct ways to do this. It's not just a matter of throwing the URL on there. That is completely incorrect. It has ways of how to cite periodicals, which are what you would call magazines or newspapers. You know, article in magazine, article in newspaper, a review, an editorial or a letter to the editor, anonymous articles, an article in a scholarly journal. This would include a lot of articles that are taken from EBSCOhost or JSTOR. So pretty much everything's on here. This website kind of shows how to do all of it. And it's just machine work. It's like 5th grade math. I mean, basically, if you go to this website and look at the models and the instructions, you just then take the information from your book or your website or your newspaper article or your magazine article or your scholarly article or whatever it is, and you just plug it into the simple equation, and you're done. You know? So that's probably the easiest way to figure out how to do the MLA citations. So if we just go back to kind of the overview here, we'll see that, you know, this should be keeping the piece, less than 2,000 words, clear and full citations, and using a scholarly number of sources, trying to go for number 10. That's kind of the golden number. You want to get to double digits. You want to use more than just your fingers. You want to have to use at least 1 toe. And you know, if you do that, you should be successful.